We was in Florida at a Mexican restaurant. Was sitting there, and I didn't carry my radio with me, but I had my cell phone, and we're on e-dispatch. Well, it throws the tone out, and then you can go in there and open it up and hear the audible part of it. And we had heard that tone, and it was us, so I grabbed my brother and I told him, I said, come on outside and let's see what's going on. See if it's something we need to go to or if it's something everybody else can handle. And we went outside, pulled it up and played it. And the call come out as a green gas had been spotted on Highway 3. A green cloud, not really a green gas, but a green cloud. And I got to thinking, trying to figure out what all was in the area that could cause a green cloud. And I told my brother, I said, I think we probably need to head back that way because the report was a lady's vehicle had stopped and she was passing out. We heading back, and I'm steadily running through my mind, what's in that area. And I knew there was a water tank there coming up the hill there from Satartia. So I called the city clerk and I asked her, I said, Miss Joe, I said, do you know if y'all have a chlorine tank at the water tank on Satartia Hill? And she said, I don't know. I said, call your operator and find out. I said, something's going on. We've got a report of a lady around Highway 3, somewhere there close to Satartia, has her car stopped and she's passed out. So the green gas, I was kind of leaning toward, maybe chlorine. Joe called me back. She's one of the secretary at Satartia, down there for the village of Satartia. She said, we don't have a chlorine tank up there, but Barbara, which was her husband, said he thinks he can smell something like H2S. I said, okay, I know what it is. I said, you start calling folks, tell them to leave Satartia, go out on the levee. So I called our dispatch and I called Jack and I told them, I said, we got a CO2 line breach. I'm pretty sure it's not confirmed yet, but I'm sure that's what it is. And I knew the CO2 line cut through there pretty close because I used to work, I was a contract hand for Denbury, and I worked over in Tinsley. Been working around the CO2 a good bit, so I knew that line come through there. And I said, well, let me start calling. So I called a guy that works over at Jimmy Eisenhood. He's a production foreman at Tinsley. I called him and I said, Mr. Jimmy, I need you to find out if they have lost pressure on their the 24-inch line going to Delhi. And I told our dispatcher, we need to shut the traffic down at Eagle Bend Road. I'm sending a group of people down to Highway 3 in Nolan State Plantation, and I'm going to shut the Highway 3 down there. And tell everybody, do not go in unless they are under air, because it's a possibility it could have some H2S in it. H2S is a deadly gas. It comes out of the ground along with your natural gas. Most of the time around here, it comes out of what we call the smackover. That's a formation that's deeper than what they are producing up here. But I wasn't sure exactly where the gas plant was or how deep they were at the dome in Jackson where this CO2 comes from. But also, my older brother had called. Him and his granddaughter was coming from Yazoo City, and his truck quit. And they got kind of disoriented, and he finally got it together enough. They turned around and went back to Yazoo City to the hospital to be checked out. And he called me and told me, he said, man, I don't know what's going on. He said, but I thought I could smell H2S. He said, and my truck quit. I said, okay. So I got back on the radio and told everybody again, do not go in unless you have an air mask on, unless you're under air, because it's a possibility there might be some H2S in it. So
at this point, you're more concerned about the H2S than you are about the carbon dioxide?
Yes, because H2S, and I can't remember exactly what the parts per million is. It don't take much, but it'll kill your olfactory nerve in your sinuses, and you will not smell it anymore. And at that point, it's lethal. So, and that's what I was mainly concerned about. CO2, you know, if you're in it long enough and you don't get the oxygen and you just stay to it, yeah, you could succumb to it. You could die from it because it is heavier than air and it's going to displace the oxygen. So that's why you want to have the air packs. You really don't have to have a hazmat suit because it's not going to hurt you just walking through it and working in it. But in that high concentration, you need to have breathing air. So you put this mask on, it seals off on your face, so you're getting nothing but that fresh air. All right, this is the air pack that we use fighting fires. This is going to be your best tool, one of your best tools. Simply because you won't have to have your turnouts on in just the CO2 because it is not going to affect you through your skin or anything. But it's going to take the air from you. So this is what a must. I'd use this. I'd put it on even if I didn't think I needed it. Because if you see that white cloud, it's going to be in such a concentration you're going to need it.
So the CO2 was the reason people were passing out, or the H2S?
The CO2. It wasn't. Once Denbury had got on scene and all, really before they had got on scene, they had already called a company named CTEC. They do air monitoring and so once they got on scene, they immediately started checking air quality around Satartia. They calibrated their machines before they went in and started checking air quality to see how far out it was to make sure we had evacuated out to the right spot. But all this took 45 minutes to an hour. It took about 45 minutes for Denbury to get on scene. So this is your first line of defense. This is right there with your first line of defense, both of them ought to be. This is an air monitor to check air quality. We did not have these at that time. Denbury purchased some for us. I think they have bought some for Vicksburg. Denbury, either Exxon. Exxon has bought Denbury out, so they are the owner of the pipeline now. They still call it the Denbury line. So the white cloud. I just said that the CO2 is a white cloud. Most of the time it is white. The further it gets out and the more oxygen that mixes with it, it changes back from white to like a clear color. So I would say right in the edge of the cloud, it'll be kind of a smoky looking or hazy looking color. The reason that they were saying the cloud was green or looked green, it was because all the dirt and debris that was commingled in that cloud when it blew out. Because it blew a hole in the ground you could set a house down in. I mean, it was a huge crater. It's unbelievable at the amount of dirt that was moved when it blew out. Of course, that's a 24-inch line under 1,480 pounds of pressure, so that's a lot of pressure. And this happened, this is nothing that happened over 2 or 3 days. Once that hill slid, once that dirt slid and it put all that weight on it and stressed that pipe, it just popped it in two, just pulled it in two. It almost looks like you cut that pipe with a saw. It didn't, it busted around the pipe. It just pulled the pipe in two. All right, my advice to first responders and all, the main thing is pay attention to things that's in your area. A lot of people didn't know that CO2 line had come through there, had even been put in. As far as safety wise, the air pack is a must. These monitors, this monitor here is a 6 gas, because it has a CO2 sensor in it. Most of the time it's just carbon monoxide sensor, an LEL sensor which picks up your lower explosion level off of your combustibles, an oxygen sensor, and a H2S sensor is in here. Denbury purchased these for us after the event because we didn't have any. If we would have had them, we could have had people out, monitoring before CTEC had got here. The thing about the CO2 is humidity, cold air, things like that, even just to getting dark, because once it gets dark, you start cooling off. That will change the way that cloud's going to react. The more humid it is, the more moisture you have in the air, the more cloud cover you have, it pushes that CO2 to the ground. We evacuated over 200 people. I forget how many families live in Satartia now. You go, well, how did they get 200 people? But you got to think, some families have 4 or 5 people in the family. So it was over 200 people that we wound up evacuating. And I can't remember, I want to say it was around 40 that actually was transported to the hospital. It was 3 guys in the car. I think they'd been fishing earlier that day. They were actually on Perry Creek Road, down close to the creek. The CO2, it also likes moisture. So from where the blowout was, it acted like a funnel. The topography of the land acted like a funnel. And that creek went right down the center of it. So that CO2 just followed it, and it come right in behind Satartia. That creek dumps out in the river right there behind Satartia. So them boys was right there around that creek. Their car quit, their windows was rolled up, they were passed out in the car. I think Jerry Briggs and them are the ones that pulled them out. Somebody thought about Perry Creek Road, said, hey, let's run up Perry Creek Road and check it out. So they went up in there, found the boys passed out in the car, knocked on the windows. Nobody would wake up, nobody would respond. The doors was locked, so they wound up breaking the windows out of the vehicle to get them out. There was 2 young people in that area that they had been at a party over at a deer camp. They're out of Satartia. And we had told everybody, when you leave Satartia, hit the levee and go out. Well, for some reason or another, this couple come out. I think they were boyfriend and girlfriend at that time. But they come out and went straight up Perry Creek Road, right into the heart of it. And their vehicle had quit. they had got on foot and had started walking. The young man, his granddaddy lives further back up that road, and that's the only thing I can figure was he was trying to get there. And they wound up passing out and being rescued out of there. You know, the hospitals, they really didn't know exactly what to do. That's one thing that has happened since that incident is we've had better communications with the pipeline companies. They have had communications with the hospital and everything to find out. We have meetings. I'm the LEPC chairman for the local emergency planning committee in Yazoo City. So we have meetings and have talked about it in those meetings. Exxon has brought out Denbury, and they have come up and they are offering us a chance to go. I've been 2 times to College Station, Texas, and we go to what they call the Teach Training Center, and they have a model set up for a CO2 leak. We do that. We kind of have the first day we have a hazmat class, and we talk about, you know, CO2, H2S, and different gases and the way they react. So it's really a good opportunity for volunteer departments to, you know, they need to be sending people out here for this training. As far as I know, Exxon's the only one that's offering that right now. So hopefully maybe some of these other pipeline companies will get on board and try to do the same thing or set up some kind of local training facility with their fire academies. It's a lot of things because of this incident. It's a lot of things that's been put in place as far as training. PHMSA is putting rules out now. This line is, this CO2 EOR recovery and transporting in the pipeline is relatively new. Before it was, you know, like natural gas, crude oil, gases and stuff like that. So this is relatively new, and you know, we're all learning from it. It's just bad that it has to take an accident or incident, you know, to say, hey, we need to change this. But just thank God nobody perished. You know, there's no loss of life. I got to put a feather in Jack's hat, our emergency management director. He has really jumped on board about promoting the safety of CO2, things that need to be done, that people need to do, that we need to look at, especially the communications between the pipeline operators and the general public.
If it had happened later at night when everybody was asleep, what do you anticipate?
It could have been a lot different. Just thank goodness it happened when it did and people were traveling the road. The girl that called in that her car had cut off, I mean, it's very fortunate that she had come to and could call and make that call.